In a small neighborhood where hope seemed distant, lived Helen. Imagine a young woman full of dreams, but always surrounded by challenges that seemed one step ahead of her. Helen's life was a constant battleground where frustrations and disappointments were her daily companions. She invested everything in a project she believed was her ticket to a better future. But suddenly and brutally, everything collapsed. What seemed to be the foundation of her hopes turned into an avalanche of doubts and insecurities, crushing her heart and her confidence. Now imagine the impact of that fall. It wasn't just a fall, it was an emotional earthquake that left Helen without ground, with the crushing weight of doubt on her shoulders. She found herself at rock bottom, staring at a future that seemed increasingly bleak and hopeless. But here's the real mystery. Would she let this defeat define her life forever? Or was there a spark of hope hidden, ready to ignite in the darkness? In this crucial moment, Helen has a choice: to give up or to rise. And it is from this decision that true transformation begins. Prepare for a journey of courage and resilience, where each step is a battle and each small victory is a triumph over the ghosts of the past. Helen's story is about to show us that even in the darkest moments, the light of hope can shine brightly. With the weight of defeat still fresh in her soul, Helen found herself at a crossroads. Instead of succumbing to despair, something inside her began to stir. It was as if, deep within her being, a soft and persistent voice began to whisper, "You can do more. Don't let this define you." She decided to listen to that voice. With a heavy but determined heart, Helen took the first step in a new direction. The journey didn't begin with grand changes or magical transformations. No, it was marked by small and courageous steps amidst the storm. Helen began to face her fears one by one. Each morning was a battle to get out of bed and face the day. Each challenge was a reminder of what was at stake, but also a chance to prove to herself that she could overcome. She plunged into a sea of self-reflection, exploring her insecurities and confronting her deepest doubts. With each new attempt, Helen was challenged to question her own limitations and break free from the patterns that had kept her trapped. Her days were filled with moments of uncertainty and small victories that, when combined, began to shape a new reality. It was a path full of obstacles, but each challenge faced was a piece in the puzzle of her transformation. Suffering and defeats began to be seen not as insurmountable barriers, but as necessary steps for her rise. With each step taken, Helen was not only rebuilding her life, but also forging a new inner strength. And then, when it seemed that the end was near, something incredible began to happen. The same spirit that had almost destroyed her now became the source of her strength. Helen was no longer just surviving. She was beginning to live. What had seemed an endless path now showed signs of light on the horizon. And this light was not the end, but the beginning of a new era in her life. As Helen continued on this new path, life began to present her with new challenges and opportunities. The ground that had once seemed unrelenting now seemed to offer small chances for change. With renewed determination, Helen began to see these opportunities where there had once been only despair. Each obstacle that arose was no longer a sign of imminent failure, but a chance to test and strengthen her resilience. She faced the days with quiet courage, and each small step forward was a victory over the ghosts of the past. Defeats were no longer the end, but merely a temporary pause in the journey of her growth. In seeking new paths, Helen found an unexpected circle of support. People who, like her, had overcome great challenges and were willing to share their experiences and wisdom. These connections became beacons of hope in her journey, offering valuable advice and encouragement in the darkest hours. She realized she was not alone in this journey, and that the support and experiences of others could illuminate her own path. Over time, The skills and knowledge Helen acquired began to reflect in her work and the way she faced life. The transformation was no longer just a distant vision, but a tangible reality. She realized she was shaping not only her own life, but also positively influencing those around her. However, the road to success was not linear. Helen still faced days of doubt and difficulty, but now she approached each of these moments with a new perspective. Each challenge was an opportunity to apply what she had learned and grow even stronger. Her journey was far from easy, but persistence and faith in herself had become her greatest allies. With each passing day, Helen began to feel the first rewards of her tireless dedication. The small victories that had once seemed insignificant began to accumulate and form an impressive picture of progress. Her confidence, which had been crushed by defeat, now rose like a persistent flame, lighting her path. But Helen's journey was far from over. The road ahead was still full of unexpected turns and unforeseen obstacles. In one of these moments, a major challenge arose, threatening to destabilize everything she had achieved so far. It was a crucial project that could mean the peak of her transformation or a return to the beginning. Fear and doubt resurfaced, but Helen was not willing to let this paralyze her. She knew that success was not guaranteed, but her determination was unwavering. Helen dove headfirst into this challenge, applying all the lessons she had learned and all the skills she had developed. Each day became a strategic battle where she needed to overcome her own limitations and keep her mind focused on her goals. As the project progressed, the pressure only increased, but Helen found strength in the challenges. She used her experience to tackle problems creatively and resiliently. Every obstacle was a chance to test her creativity and adaptability, and she began to stand out in ways she had never imagined before. Finally, the big moment arrived. The project was completed successfully, even exceeding her own expectations. What had seemed like an impossible challenge turned into a real testament to her journey of transformation. Helen looked back and saw not just success, but a path full of effort, learning, and overcoming. With the project's success and newfound confidence, Helen began to feel that the path was finally aligning with her dreams. She was at the peak of her journey, believing that the biggest challenges were behind her. But then, something unexpected happened that threatened everything she had achieved. On a day that started like any other, Helen received news that seemed to come out of nowhere. A new economic crisis had hit her field. The market was collapsing, and her project, which had once seemed promising, was now threatened by financial problems and a lack of public interest. What was a journey of success was quickly turning into a nightmare. The impact was devastating. Helen saw her income source shrink drastically, and all her hard work seemed to crumble before her eyes. It was as if the ground was shifting beneath her feet, and she found herself in an uncertain scenario she had not anticipated. The obstacles that once seemed small now appeared enormous, and the hope she had nurtured began to dissipate. The pressure became overwhelming. Helen had to make tough decisions about the future of the project and her own financial stability. She faced a dilemma: continue fighting against the rising tide of problems, or acknowledge that it might be the end of her successful journey. With a heavy heart, she decided to confront the situation with the same determination that had brought her this far. Helen plunged into a critical market analysis, seeking alternatives and solutions to adapt her project to the new conditions. She embarked on a new wave of innovation and strategy, reviewing every aspect of her work and looking for ways to turn the situation around. This turnaround, though frightening, eventually became a crucial turning point. The need to reinvent herself brought forth an inner strength and creativity that Helen had not fully explored before. The crisis forced her to rethink her project and find solutions that not only saved her work, but also took it to new levels of innovation and relevance. And so, amid adversity, Helen discovered that even when everything seems to be falling apart, true strength lies not just in enduring, but in reinventing and emerging even stronger than before. As Helen faced the storm over her project, something remarkable began to happen. The economic crisis, which initially seemed like an insurmountable obstacle, ended up revealing unexpected opportunities. With each challenge, Helen realized she was being forced to explore areas she had never considered before. She dedicated herself to new forms of engagement with her audience, seeking creative ways to connect with her clients in an ever-changing landscape. With a keen eye on emerging trends and unmet needs, Helen began to shape her project to align with the new market demands. This process was not just about adaptation, but about a radical reinvention of the original vision. Helen delved into research and innovative partnerships, trying to understand what could make her project stand out in a saturated environment. She initiated dialogues with industry experts, participated in events and workshops, and even sought direct feedback from clients. Each interaction was a source of valuable insights, and each new strategy tested provided clues about what might work. The most significant change was the introduction of a new concept Helen had hesitated to explore before: collaboration with other small businesses and startups. By joining forces with these entities, she not only expanded her reach, but also diversified her offerings, creating a mutually supportive ecosystem of innovation. This strategic move not only helped revitalize her project, but also positioned her as a leader in an emerging niche. Over time, the changes began to show tangible results. Helen's resilience and innovation attracted new partners and clients, and her project, which had been on the brink of collapse, began to gain momentum again. The crisis that seemed like the end turned into a platform for unexpected and significant growth. Thus, Helen reached a new chapter in her journey, transforming each obstacle into a springboard for success. Her story is not just about overcoming adversities, but about how to face the unknown with courage and innovation. What seemed like the end was, in fact, the beginning of a new and promising path. Looking back, Helen sees not just a journey full of challenges, but a path marked by resilience and the ability to reinvent herself. Each difficulty faced brought her closer to a stronger and more fulfilled version of herself. What was once a distant dream, shrouded in shadows, now shines with the light of achievements and personal transformation she experienced. Her journey teaches us a powerful lesson. Even in the darkest hours, when everything seems to be falling apart, there is always an opportunity to reinvent oneself and emerge even stronger. The key is never to give up, even when the road seems impassable. Helen shows that with determination and courage, it is possible to turn failures into triumphs and find greatness within ourselves. If you felt inspired by Helen's story and believe you can apply these lessons to your own life, leave your comment below and share your own experiences. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more motivational stories that can transform your perspective and your life. And if you know someone who needs a bit of inspiration, share this video with them. Together, we can face challenges and achieve our dreams. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video, where we will continue to explore stories of overcoming and triumph that showcase the true power of the human spirit.